from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Thanks for joining us here on YouTube. Be sure to check out RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com for plenty more Royal Caribbean news, information, fun advice waiting for you over at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Welcome, everybody. We're here to answer all of your Royal Caribbean cruise questions. We're going to start off with the most important Royal Caribbean cruise question. No, it's not the main dining room. No, it's not itineraries, new ships. It is, when is your next Royal Caribbean cruise? Type your countdown in chat. Let's count down together. My next cruise coming up in the end of the month on Liberty of the Seas. Just a couple weeks away. Very excited to finally get on Liberty. I've never been on Liberty, believe it or not. And actually, there's a fair amount of ships I have not been on yet. So, nonetheless, here to excited for that. But we're also here to talk about Royal Caribbean. Answer your cruise questions. No doubt many of you are thinking about the new main dining room menu that Royal Caribbean has rolled out on at least Symphony of the Seas. And not to worry if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, you're not up to date. Not to worry. We're going to have a whole video update tomorrow focusing on the main dining room menu so you know exactly what is going on. Shay and Jay as our first super chat of the day and our first question of the evening. What is the cutoff time to pay your final payment? Is it 60 or 45 days before embarkation day? It is neither. It is 90 days before your cruise. I think for some very short cruises, it might be 70 days, but it's 90 for most cruises now. They changed that a couple of years ago, quite frankly. But anyway, it is 90 days is the magic number for final payment date. Now, again, this is another good reason to use a good travel agent. What I love, my travel agent at MEI Travel, they'll ask for final payment about a week before the actual final payment date. And the reason for that is to ensure that basically if there's any delays, if there's any hang on, I got to move money from this account to this account, that you're not playing with fire as it relates to, missing out on your cruise. Because if you don't make final payment, you'll lose your cabin, among other things. So, yeah. Loretta says, I'm going to love Liberty of the Seas. I love freedom and I love independence or sister ships. So I have no doubt, Loretta, I think you're right about that. 100%. Can't wait. Jason H., thank you for the super chat. 40 Days Symphony of the Seas. I know there's Alcoholics Anonymous on board. You know there's Gamblers Anonymous. Can we ask to restrict casino access while on board? Thanks. I don't believe so. I know that the two events that I am familiar with that Royal Caribbean has, and they're self-guided, by the way, but the two events that I'm aware of for both on pretty much any sailing is going to be Friends of Bill W., which is Alcoholics Anonymous, and Friends of Dorothy, which is LGBTQ. I don't know if it's anonymous, but it's a meetup opportunity for folks. As for Gamblers Anonymous, I am not familiar with that being an event. Jason, you could ask the cruise activity staff to help or facilitate that, and I'm sure they can find a space for you. But I've not seen it necessarily advertised all the time. As to your other question, can we restrict casino access while on board? I'm not familiar with a way of doing that. I mean, in most ships, the casino is where it is located on whatever deck it happens to be on. It's the width of the deck, so you would have to. There's no way to get around it on that particular deck. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by restrict casino access beyond that, quite frankly. But you could turn off charging privileges. That's one way to get around that problem. If you're concerned about temptation, if you can't charge, well, that won't help you with cash. So I don't know. It's an excellent question. KB in the UK, Kevin, thank you for the super chat. As per the Royal Caribbean app, is health check time the same as check-in time? No. The health check you can do up to 24 hours before your check-in time, KB. So when you go in the app 45 days beforehand, you fill out everything out. Cool. You can't do the health check at that point. But in that 24 hours before your check-in time, that is the time in which you can do the health check and answer those questions right there. So Andrew wants to know, will Icon of the Seas feature a candy store? And what are the names of the new bars on Icon? Well, I don't have the names off the top of my head. And quite frankly, Andrew, we have not been given the full list of food and beverage venues for Icon of the Seas. My understanding is there will be a venue that will serve candy on board. I'm not sure if it's Sugar Beach. I don't remember off the top of my head, or if it's another name on there. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be something in the realms of Surfside that may have something like that, if memory serves me correctly. So let's see here. Lots of friends checking in. Love that. Welcome one and all. Let's see. Deborah wants to know when or how does Royal Caribbean assign guaranteed rooms? Great question. And when? The answer is it's kind of a black box. It's magic. One day it shows up. There's no definitive, like, there's no pattern, Deborah. Meaning it's not like, oh, Deborah, after a certain amount of days, you check back on this point. There isn't. It can happen any point, Deborah, between when you book your guaranteed cabin and your sale date. So you just got to keep checking back. And that's basically it. But essentially, whatever category you book at, you are guaranteed that room or higher. So if you book a ocean view guarantee, you will not get an inside room, but you will get at least an ocean view, if not a higher room category from that matter. But I wouldn't expect the higher. I think it's more likely you'll get the category that you get there. Andrew said, who's my travel agent? MEI Travel. MEI Travel. In fact, some may even be in the chat already, some of those agents in here. I see Sharon Stockman is here. Hello, Sharon. Good to see you. Teal Tangerine. Thank you for the super chat. Hippo character repeatedly points to the streamer while chanting, get good. I love it. Thank you, Teal Tangerine. Appreciate it. How is the food compared to NCL? And I've only been on one Norwegian cruise, and it was back in 2012. So I am not an expert on Norwegian. I don't claim to be. I remember that the specialty restaurants on Norwegian were fairly comparable. Again, this was a number of years, 10 years ago now. But the complimentary food, especially the main dining room, I thought was very lacking compared to Royal Caribbean. But again, that's a 10-year-old opinion. So I'm not sure that necessarily holds up there. And I don't want to make anybody think that I'm, an expert on that by any means. Let's see here. Chelsea Alexander. Chelsea, thank you for the super chat. Going on Oasis in June for the Bahamas for the first time. Do you recommend getting the Aqua Adventure Water Park excursion? When it comes to the excursions in general, Chelsea, it's more a question of, do you think it's going to be a fun thing to do? With all tours, no matter if it's the Aqua Adventure Water Park, I assume is that Atlantis? I'm not even sure. There's a lot of great choices out there. There's pros and cons to booking tours through Royal Caribbean. Inherently, I don't think, I think you'll be okay with whatever tour you pick. One thing you might look at as an alternative might be a tour through resortforaday.com. I really like those, and they do have water parks as part of that. That's on your own, not through the cruise line. I don't have any specific experience with that particular tour. Maybe someone in our chat does. But I can't give you a firm, like, oh, yes, I've been there and I can recommend it or not recommend it. But I would say in the grand scheme of things, especially tours through Royal Caribbean, probably in the realms of, it's not going to be a mistake in the grand scheme of things. Have I done bad Royal Caribbean tours? Yeah. I'm not sure that one, but I still book a tour through Royal Caribbean, give them the benefit of the doubt. Hey, Matt Henning, what's up, man? 93 days till we leave for Australia. Thank you for the super chat, Matt. 93 days till we leave for Australia for our Trans-Pacific 20th anniversary trip for our 23rd anniversary. Congratulations. Any tips? Now I've not done a Trans-Pacific, obviously, but Progressive Trivia is a really popular event. Look for that on the first day of the cruise. So basically, on these longer sailings, instead of just, they'll still do like one-off trivias, but Progressive Trivia is through the duration of the cruise. So it makes each session a little more important, a little more mean a little bit more. So the Progressive Trivia is a very popular event when it comes back there. So you never know. Thank you, by the way, for the super chat. R Gravy, thank you for the super chat. Is it safe to hold a baby on a lap on a bus on a Royal Caribbean excursion? Yes, I've done this many times. When you're in the Caribbean and in other parts of the world as well, car seats, seatbelts are not really a thing like they are in the U.S. As a parent who has two kids, we've cruised with both of them when they were 6 months old, and many a time we've been in a taxi or a bus, and it's like, okay, we're just holding them in our lap. Obviously it'd be great if there was a car seat available. It's just not the reality of these places, and I'm not going to let that stop me. I think certainly there's risks involved, but in my opinion, not that I'm a safety expert or I can tell you what to do, but and I certainly, R Gravy, can't guarantee you anything or promise you anything, but I've done with my kids. My kids seem reasonably well off. They seem half normal, so I think we're okay with that. But certainly, given that opportunity, we have done that in the past, for what that's worth. Again, I'm not the arbiter of what is safe or not safe. I'm just sharing my experiences. Jeff Leonard with an epic super chat. Woo! Thank you, Jeff. By the way, I met Jeff and his lovely wife on Wonder of the Seas finally. I've known Jeff online for years and years and years. But Jeff, pleasure, man. Glad to have you here. 96 days till the Ovation of the Seas down under. Jeff, you're going to have an amazing, amazing time down there, my dude. It is going to be an epic cruise. I'm jealous. I'm not jealous of the flight that's required to get you there, But once you get there, when you step off that airplane, that is when my jealousy level goes up quite a bit. So David wants to know, how does tendering work in Grand Cayman? Are they lifeboats or shuttle boats? They're shuttle boats. And how far from the ship do we dock? We're on Odyssey of the Seas. Grand Cayman is a very short tender ride. You're somewhere in the ballpark. It's like a 5-minute tender ride, if I recall it correctly. And it's not with the lifeboats. Royal Caribbean has its own little fleet of catamarans, whatever you want to call them, that come over, pick up a bunch of people, and go back. It's pretty efficient, and it's pretty quick. I've had it, obviously I prefer to dock, but it works out pretty well, quite frankly. Susan Westfall, thank you for the super chat. Is there an age limit on the Zipline? Do you mean on the cruise ship? Or no, I'm not familiar with it. The only restrictions with the Zipline may be a weight limit. And Susan, having known you, I don't think that'll be a problem for you. But no, there's no age limit as far as I know there. Let's see here. So this is a good question from Avery. Once my fiance brought up the point that Mexico isn't safe, the killing with the cartel killing tourists. How do you feel about this? Again, I can't promise you anything as to what may or may not happen. I feel like there's a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, violence in Mexico has been a thing in the past. It comes and it goes, unfortunately. The way that I look at it is, in a lot of cases, the violence is not relegated to tourist areas. Obviously, there was an incident, I believe, fairly recently with that. Would it stop me? No, because that was the other day. Doesn't necessarily mean it's carrying over. We've seen this historically, Avery. The way I look at it is, there have been incidents of violence in a number of countries cruise ships go to, but the violence, while deplorable and unfortunate, and obviously I don't want to belittle the impact to the people that live there. I'm talking purely from a cruise ship tourist standpoint, so please don't take my next comments as anything other than purely focused on Royal Caribbean cruises. I'm not here to discuss the socioeconomic issues related to these countries. But in the grand scheme of things, the violence tends to be fairly limited in terms of timing, and tourist areas generally not an issue. Now, if you go outside the tourist areas, if you go on your own, is there more risk? Certainly, there could be that case. So maybe you limit yourself to Royal Caribbean excursions. Maybe you limit yourself to where you dock. There's some certain precautions that you can certainly take there. But I'd also point out there's crime and violence in the United States, and that doesn't stop me from going to any of our major American cities, north and south. Love them. So, there's risk with everything in life, but I think that it's still, again, in my opinion, based on what I would do, I wouldn't change my plans, quite frankly. It's a good question. Ryan Heaton. Ryan, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I don't see a message from you, Ryan, but I will keep an eye out for it. Ryan. Nope. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, buddy. We have another super chat. Also, Sean H. Sean, thank you for super chat. Ryan and Sean. And sometimes the messages get split up here, so we'll try to. And Ryan and Sean, if I don't read your message, if I missed it, just type like in capital letters, like missed super chat or something. I'll see that one for sure. UP Railroad 8718. Thank you for the super chat. When do you think we'll see more info on Icon of the Seas? We're going to see, I think, information regularly as we progress throughout the year. I think we'll probably see some sort of an update this month being January. I think now with the holidays behind us, I don't have a date or anything like that, but I think we're going to see regular updates. I'm not sure I want to go necessarily and say monthly, but something along those lines. Certainly, as construction really starts to get closer and closer with the ship's launch, we're going to get more updates. So really what you should expect for the entire year from start to finish is going to be updates, reveals, things of that nature right there. So Gale Force 2000, can you book Coastal Kitchen with Suite Concierge prior to your sailing? I believe if you're staying in a Grand Suite or higher, I believe you can, because they can book you other specialty restaurants. So I don't think that'll be a problem, quite frankly. Jade P. What's up, Jade P? Is the deluxe drink package worth it on a 7-night cruise? And does MEI only do cruises? No. MEI cruises, MEI does not do only cruises. They'll book you land vacations, whether it's Walt Disney World or trips to Europe. They can help you with all those things. Is the deluxe drink package worth it on a 7-night cruise? It can be. When it comes to the drink package, it's more a question of you, because the drink package absolutely positively has the potential to save you money. But Jade, you have to drink enough during every day of the cruise to make it worthwhile. How much? Well, obviously depends on how much the drink package is, but somewhere in the ballpark about 6 or 7 cocktails a day can definitely break even on that. Now, Obviously, you can break even in other ways, not just straight up cocktails, right? You get bottles of water, coffee, sodas, juices. These are ways to help, you know, get more value out of the drink package. But considering that the cocktails are the most expensive items, it's just easier math in that standpoint. But they can absolutely, it can be worthwhile if you drink enough every day of the cruise. So hope that makes sense. Here's Ryan's question. I found Ryan's question here. On Mariner to the Seas, how do the showtimes overlap with the 5:30 and 8 o'clock dine times? Great question, Ryan. So I can rather than me rattle off some vague answer for you, my friend. Here's what you want to do. You want to go to RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and in the main menu it says there's Cruise Compass. Click on that and find a cruise compass from the itinerary or similar itinerary that you're doing, and you can see a very clear example of what to expect. And Ryan, if they're doing it on a sailing, especially if it's the same itinerary that you're doing, it's going to be pretty much the same. They don't reinvent the wheel from sailing to sailing. So one of my favorite tips is to read a past cruise compass to give you an idea. The good news is if you're doing traditional dining, 5:30, 8 o'clock, oftentimes the shows are run opposite of that. So for 5:30, you would see probably a show around 7 or 8 o'clock, and for 8 o'clock dinner, you would either see a show before, like at 5, or afterwards at 10 o'clock, something like that. But again, read a past cruise compass so that way you can get a real apples to apples example of what to expect. Fernando wants to know, for the Wi-Fi on board, is it possible to book just one guest for 2 devices, but share for 2 phones? One phone for me and the other for my wife. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's no problem at all. The drink package rule sharing is one thing, but the Wi-Fi, totally fine. That's totally okay, my friend. Let's see here. KB says, on Symphony 32 days, checked in, but no check-in time yet. Is this okay? You should have the check-in times. It should be 45 days, KB. I know you're in the UK, but you're going on Symphony of the Seas, so that factor at all. You don't see a check-in time when you go in there, and if you don't, is there a date that says like check back on this date? Kind of strange. Tall Richard, thank you for the super chat. Woo! Appreciate it, buddy. Going on Liberty next Monday. Was wondering if there was a way I could share the cruise compass with you and your team to update the cruise compass on the Royal Caribbean blog. Yes. So there's a number of ways you can do it. I think the easiest way, Richard, is when you're on the ship. You'll see the link for it in the cruise compass. There's a little QR code. You scan that, and it brings up a PDF document of the cruise compass. Save that to your phone. Every day, the link never changes, but every day there'll be a new cruise compass there. So save it every day of the cruise, and then the end of the cruise you should have, if you're on a Monday, so you're on a 4-night cruise, you'll have 4 PDF files. Just email that over, and that's good to go. That's the easiest way to do it, quite frankly. So yeah, absolutely. And thank you again for that super chat earlier. Let's see. Hey, Jamie, how are you, my friend? Do you think this new main dining room menu will hold up in the long run? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think is your question, are they going to roll it back? No, absolutely not. Could they tweak it? Yes. If you listen to a recent podcast episode we did, Jamie, with Lincoln D'Souza, who's the vice president of food and beverage for Royal Caribbean, he talked about that they're not against this idea of tweaking and hey, this one thing's not working or we need to adjust this. But there's no doubt in my mind this will be the new main dining room menu for the next few years, certainly. Tim, thank you for the super chat, buddy. My son will be 2 months shy, being 13 when we go on Wonder in June. He's worried he'll be stuck with the little kids. Is he right? Yeah, he'll be 12 years old technically, so he'll still be in Adventure Ocean. Now, first of all, let me preface this by saying that he'll be in the 6 to 12-year-old group. Now, I know he's saying, Dad, 6-year-olds, I got to hang out with them. You're not hanging out with the 6-year-olds. I mean, it's very much, he'll gravitate towards and hang out with other, kids his age, 11 and 12-year-olds, certainly, right? If it's really a big deal, if he's like, I do not want to go in that room on principle, I really want to go to the teen club, you could ask the staff to move up to the teen club, but that's up to the staff, and there's no guarantees about that. But here's what I would tell him. Yeah, there'll be 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds in there, but you're also going to be with 10 and 11 and 12-year-olds, and inherently, the older kids hang out together and do things together, so it won't be the end of the world, quite frankly. Great question so far. Edward's got another question for us. Oasis, Liberty, Anthem sail for Port Liberty. I cruise solo. So which of these 3 have studio solo rooms, and which ship is preferred over the other 2? Preferred is a very subjective term, Edward. It's like kind of like saying, what's your favorite car brand, or it's subjective. The examples may not hold up here, but the analogy rather should not hold up here. All 3 are great ships. It's not a question of value, itinerary, cabins, personal preferences, etc. Anthem has the best choices of they're the most, let's put it this way, solo cabins, if that matters to you. So hey Ryan, thank you again for the super chat. And if you're interested in the shows in the main in Mariner of the Seas, is there an issue with fixed dining times? No, it's the opposite, Ryan. I think it is much easier to see shows if you are in the traditional seating compared to my time. I would absolutely stay with my time with a traditional dining, excuse me. So Mrs. A to Z wants to know what type of cabin should a couple get with a toddler? If you got a toddler, I think our second room is probably overkill for that. I would get a junior suite. If the toddler, especially if the toddler is still in a pack and play crib, whatever you want to call it, then that extra space really comes in handy because the pack and play takes up a lot of space. So I would definitely recommend that, quite frankly. Tanya, thank you for the super chat. Have you heard what caused a major waterworks on our ship recently? Yeah, on Harmony of the Seas. Basically there was a life raft in the ocean, and they spotted it at the last minute, and so they had to veer and do a sharp turn, and that's it. It was just a big nothing. I mean, it was obviously it got a lot of attention on TikTok, but it's not indicative of any problems or anything like that. It's just the ship trying to make sure that they can address the issue and obviously not run into a lifeboat or a life raft, I should say. Patricia Smith, thank you for the super chat. 159 days. I've been watching your videos for a couple of years and always appreciate how much information you provide. Just want to say hi and thank you. Well, thank you so much, Patricia. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. By the way, Kevin, going back to this question, have you checked in both the Royal Caribbean app and the website? You should have a check-in time within certainly but 30 whatever days you're at right now. So next question is from OC6. Are you able to compare Disney's customer service to Royal Caribbean? My first cruise was with Disney, and now my next two are on Wonder of the Seas and Icon next year. Boy, it's a great question. And Disney's certainly well known for its customer service. I think Royal Caribbean does a great job with their customer service on board. I've always been a fan of what Royal does. I used to cruise on Disney OC, and then I came over to Royal Caribbean a number of years ago, obviously. But I have a lot of friends who definitely do both cruise lines, and they've never complained to me about the customer service. They always do a really good job on there. So I would look at it as very comparable, quite frankly. Next question is from Beachy Mama. Do you have any recommendations of what to do in Bimini and Grand Bahama? I've never been to Bimini, so I don't have any first-hand recommendations. I apologize. Grand Bahama Island, what would I recommend there? I mean, boy, that island I've been there a couple times, and it is very disappointing. It's called Freeport. It's very industrial. Not nearly as built up as Nassau. The last time we went there, Beachy Mama, we got a day pass, not the Royal Caribbean, on our own to the Grand Lucayan Resort, which was okay. I thought it was expensive for what it was, but everybody else I talked to had terrible times in Freeport. I think there's a great video from our friend Sherry from Cruise Tips TV. When she went on, I think it was on Adventure of the Seas. They went to some beach and it was absolutely terrible, she said. Anyway, the example being that it was tough to find anything good over there. So, yeah, I don't have any good recommendations. I mean, the Grand Lucayan wasn't bad. I just wasn't like blown away by it either. So, Veronica checking in from the Windjammer on Anthem of the Seas. Nice. Love it. YNS Nation. Hey, Matt, first time cruiser. Wanted to know when are the luggage tags available to print off and when do we get our Seapasses? You get a Seapass once you get on board the ship. So you get your set sail pass on your phone. It's like a boarding pass from an airplane. That gets you on board the ship. And then your Seapasses will be waiting for you outside your cabin door. As to when your luggage tags are available, usually around 45 days or so, they'll be around over there. So BK Lounge 87, thank you for the super chat. Is there a way to add onboard credit to someone else's account? Friend has an anniversary, and I wanted to gift them meals, drinks while on board. The answer is yes, but I don't recommend it. I mean, there are gifts. Royal Caribbean has gift certificates. I don't recommend them. The redemption rules are very difficult and just not worth it. I hate to do it this way. It's not what you're looking. The answer you're looking for, other than that, doesn't exist. So here's what I would recommend instead. I would just simply give them cash and say, listen, I know this isn't like, it seems weird, but please take this money and spend it on something fun on the cruise. Because what they can do at that point is then once they're on board the ship, go to guest services and deposit the money at guest services against their account. I wish there was an easier way, a cleaner way. So, because it's quite easy for them to take the cash and buy themselves a burger, for lunch one day instead of using it on the ship. But it's just honestly, it's the best approach. I do not recommend the Royal Caribbean gift certificates. The redemption rules are convoluted and difficult to understand, so I don't recommend them. Charles, thank you for the super chat. Woo! I was on Navigator recently. Is there a dress code for passengers wearing their pajamas and household in public places on the ship? There's not. This is Royal Caribbean, not Carnival. Nope. The only place there is a dress code is in the main dining room or specialty restaurants. But no, there's no. I mean, within reason, there's certain things you can't. You can't be naked. You can't be. But no, if they're wearing, their bathing suit, if they're wearing their pajamas around the ship, that's allowed. There's no restriction on that. So, this is one of those things, Charles. I guess the best answer. I'm not saying that I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just simply saying at the end of the day, it doesn't affect your cruise in the sense that what else someone else is wearing doesn't affect you. But I understand what you're saying there, and certainly I wouldn't wear that way. I wouldn't let my kids walk around the ship that way. But no, there's no restrictions beyond that. JD, thank you for the super chat. How does priority tendering work when purchasing the key? Do I still need to queue up for a tender slot, or can I show up whenever and get tendered? My understanding of it is usually they have like an area, this is the way it works with short excursions as well, is they'll direct you like, hey, if you're the key, go to the forward gangway for that. And they'll give you more information about that when you're on board. JD, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate you. Next question is from Jason, who wants to know, should I prepay gratuity? Yes, I always do that. If so, can I do that after I've reserved the trip? Yes, you can do it at any time, Jason, leading up to your cruise. Absolutely. Aaron of Rohan, thank you for the super chat. 5 days till our first cruise. Any terminal tips? Do your online check-in all beforehand, Aaron. So the check-in via the Royal Caribbean app, fill everything out. Take the selfie photo, put your credit card information out there, put in your passport information, do all of that. That will save you time and make the entire process really fast. And people in the chat will back me up on this, Aaron. When you do all those steps, odds are it's going to feel like you never stop walking through the terminal. You never really stop, which is really great and really expedites the whole process. Todd has a $250 onboard credit for our cruise in April. Got some money for Christmas. Can we add that to our onboard credit from our cruise in April? Yeah. So just do what I said earlier, Todd. Get on board the ship, go to guest services, and say, can I please deposit this cash against my account? Absolutely. They'll be able to do that for you. Scary, thank you for the super chat. 34 days until Anthem. Any idea if you're allowed to bring golf clubs in a Royal Caribbean cruise? I believe so. You can't use them on board the ship, obviously, but I'm fairly certain that is allowed. There's certain, you're allowed to bring baseball bats and hockey sticks. You just can't use them on the ship, but you can bring them on board with the intention that you're going to use them, obviously, in a port of call or something like that. So, hey, Diego, family and I are going on a wonder next month. We're wondering if the Solarium bistro is open for lunch on port days. It depends on, obviously, I don't know off the top of my head, Diego. You'd have to look. But what I can tell you, you can get the answer to your question. Read a past cruise compass. We have an archive of them at royalcaribbeanblog.com. But read past cruise compasses. They'll help you out with understanding the time. Because again, Diego, they don't change it up from sailing to sailing. It's just easier to keep it straightforward. Brenda, Independence of the Seas is doing a quick dry dock, getting some refurbishment work in. Just maintenance work, nothing exciting. Wu-Tang Live, what's up, man? Is Royal Caribbean retiring any old ships in the next few years? Not that we're aware of. They have not mentioned it, so the answer as of now is no. Alexa wants to know, is it really beneficial to book your next cruise while on board? If you book a cruise on board, you'll get extra onboard credit and reduced deposit. So whatever, the price is the same, whether you book it on board or at home. The difference is you'll get extra onboard credit. So if you're on board the ship, sure, book a cruise. But if you're sitting at home right now and your cruise is in for another couple of weeks, don't wait. Book your cruise now. That would be my recommendation, because the price could go up between now and then, and that would negate any onboard credit that you'd be getting. Let's see here. Anne, thank you for the super chat. What documents do you need to cruise? Some of the relatives think they do not need a passport to cruise. If your relatives are Americans and you're cruising out of an American port on a round trip cruise, a cruise that begins and ends in the same port, then yes, they don't need a passport. They could cruise with their birth certificate and state issued ID. So, but passport is absolutely the way to go. It's easier. It's safer. It's faster. But if your relative, if they're American residents, citizens, whatever, they live in the U.S. and they're cruising from the U.S. and the cruise begins and ends in the same port. So it's a closed loop sailing. It's not a cruise that like a transatlantic or a repositioning cruise. Then they can cruise with a birth certificate and state ID. So, let's see here. Next question is from Cayman, who wants to know: is it true you can ask for a mattress topper if you find the bed too firm? On a case by case basis, yes. I mean, they don't have like enough for everybody on the ship, but in a lot of cases, they do have them, so you could ask for it. Can't promise that they'll have them, but people have been able to request it once on board the ship. And if the stateroom attendant has one extra, they can bring one for you. Charles, I'm gonna get Charlene. Where did I get Charles from? I need a drink of water. Sorry. Does Royal Caribbean or travel agent hold room blocks? If so, do they only hold them until the 90 days prior? I want a certain room on certain cruise, and they're sold out. Royal Caribbean does not hold room blocks, but travel agents can. Yes, absolutely. This is not unheard of. It is possible that there's a room block that's being held that has that, but there's no way to know what it would be, Charlene. As an example, I know that some of the some online sellers of cruises like Vacations to Go will buy blocks of cruises well in advance, and then they will that's how they can sometimes get lower prices for cruises than you can see on Royal Caribbean's website. But Charlene, I know you're just like, oh, I want this sailing on this ship in this cabin. Who's got it? There's literally no way to know about that. But it is possible that you would see on the Royal Caribbean website the cruise is sold out, but then through a travel agent, and again, Vacations to Go is a travel agent, you might be able to see something over there. It's possible. I think generally speaking, when you get to the point where the cruise is sold out, room blocks are pretty much gone as well, but it's not unheard of either. So to answer your question specifically, does Royal Caribbean hold room blocks? No. Can travel agents hold room blocks? Yes, but that may not solve your problem necessarily, quite frankly. So, Sport Crazy wants to know: we're booked on Icon for the inaugural sailing. So, in your opinion, do you think Icon will be completely ready for the sailing? I was on one and it definitely was not. Thanks, Matt. Great question. And this is I'm gonna change your question to when you're going on an inaugural sailing for a new ship. Is everything going to be completely ready? And the answer is no. And you've already experienced this with Wonder of the Seas. So inaugural sailings are very exciting. New ship, it's the first sailing. There is very much a sense of, hey, this is a big deal, because it is. But when you go on an inaugural sailing, you should absolutely expect not everything to be ready. Certain features will not be ready, or there could be active construction still happening on board a ship. This is the nuances of a first inaugural cruise. So if that's a problem for you, and you're like, Matt, no, Matt, I saw the promo video. I want everything in the promo video to be there. Then you might want to consider pushing off that until for a couple months. Now, that isn't to say that like half the things are missing by any means. When you were on Wonder of the Seas, you probably noticed that like Effectors 2 wasn't available on board the ship. Neither was the escape room. And maybe there might have been one or two other things that weren't available, but the vast majority of things that were available on board to do. So I wouldn't look at it as like, oh gosh, it's going to be like 2/3 done or something like that. No, it's not going to be that bad by any means. But there absolutely could be something that's not yet 100% ready. Usually entertainment. It could be, I remember on Navigator of the Seas, when she came back from dry dock, her water slides weren't working off the bat. Adventure Ocean wasn't ready on the first sailing. Now, again, I don't know that that's going to be what you're going to experience here. And the good news is Royal Caribbean has a lot of time to get it going. But when you're any inaugural sailing, there is absolutely the possibility that it won't be 100% ready. And if that is a stumbling block for you, you're like, no, I would be very upset or disappointed, then you should not book an inaugural sailing. So just all about expectations, quite frankly. Next question is from Jenna, who wants to know: does Royal Caribbean still allow guests to bring 2 bottles of wine per stateroom? Yes, absolutely. Next question is from Stacy. Stacy, thank you for the super chat. Just got back from my first Royal Caribbean cruise. Thanks for all your advice. I was prepared for all but shampoo and no conditioner. Stacy, I remember when Jenna, who's our YouTube editor, and she went on her first Royal Caribbean cruise. I didn't think about this, but I didn't warn her about that. And yeah, she was relying purely on the mystery liquid in the shower for body wash, conditioner, and shampoo. And it was like, oh boy, she learned that lesson the hard way. But hey, that's definitely something that maybe we should talk about a little bit more, because it might make some sense to warn some folks who are newbies that you got to bring your own stuff. It's not like necessarily like a hotel where you can get a lot more stuff. It's just like bar soap and mystery liquid. And I say mystery liquid because it claims it's good for all three, but I think for most people, 3-in-1 isn't really a thing right there. So yeah. Next question is from Cruise Tips TV is in the house. I was just talking about Cruise Tips TV. Sherry, we were talking about your awful excursion in Grand Bahama Island, Freeport, that you did on, I believe it was on Adventure when we were sailing together. And that I don't think you love that beach. I think you have a video of it on your channel. Check it out. But if you guys don't follow Sherry, Cruise Tips TV, she's awesome. We always watch her on the TV at night after the kids go to bed. And my wife always says, "How come your studio doesn't look as nice as Sherry's?" And I'm like, what can I tell you? Not all of us are as talented or have as much fashion sense as Sherry. But her castle in her private motif, surrounded by her moat with her Mazda Miata and private butler service, they have great service up there. She really knows what she's doing. So kudos to Sherry. Next question is from Global Vagabond. Great name. In your experience, are there behind-the-scenes benefits to achieving top-tier benefits to loyalty programs? Behind-the-scenes benefits? I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but I would say yes, there's absolutely. I mean, as a Diamond Plus member, absolutely, it really stands to benefit from having it. Would I cruise specifically for those benefits? No. I've done a video about this recently that I don't think it's worthwhile specifically to cruise to get higher status, but it certainly is nice when you get it right there. So Zelak wants to know what's a good travel agent, how to find one. Word of mouth is always a good one. You want to hear from other people who say, yes, I use this person and they're amazing. MEI Travel is our travel agent sponsor, and I absolutely love them. They do a great job. I refer all of my friends and family to them for that very reason. Ryan, thank you for the super chat. First ever cruise in May. Best sail away spot in Harmony. Probably the pool deck, upper Solarium, the bridge wing, something like that is really nice. Also, thank you for your hard work and great information. Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Holly wants to know, can a cruise planner with Royal Caribbean give better deals than to just book on the website? You mean don't call Royal Caribbean to book a cruise. Work with a travel agent like MEI Travel. It's not so much about a better deal. That maybe they will save you money, Holly, but it's about time. That's really the chief benefit of a good travel agent. So yeah, absolutely. Next question. Hey, David Brewster. David, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. David's question is right here. What's the teen situation like for transatlantic type cruises? Looking for, well, that could be Anthem, Allure, probably not Allure, Adventure. Anyway, some ship in April 24. Whenever you do transatlantic in general, there's a lot less kids on board. So there's not going to be a ton of kids and certainly not a ton of teenagers on board. The length of the cruise, and also probably the fact that in April, it's probably when school's in session, you're not going to have a ton of kids on there. So that's either good or bad. I'm not sure, but there will not be a ton on there. So yeah. Kaylee has our next question for us. We have to catch a flight quickly the day we sail back into port. How do we get Royal Caribbean to give us priority offboarding on the last day? You don't. Here's what I would tell you, Kaylee. You want, number one, I don't know where you're sailing back into. Don't book your flight before noon. That's number one. Number two, take your own luggage off the ship, meaning the times that you get the luggage tags and like those people take longer. So what you want to do is carry your own luggage off the ship, and then you can walk off, Kaylee, as soon as the ship is cleared. So that's probably your best bet, quite frankly. But we had somebody in our live video, I think it was last week, who was like, "Hey, Matt, I'm going on a cruise somewhere in Florida, and my flight is at 9:50." And I was like, dude, cancel your flight and rebook. And that he or she, I forget exactly, did exactly that. They pushed it back because that is just that's a mistake waiting to happen. So, but yeah, walk off with your own luggage. That's the key. There isn't necessarily a priority. I mean, people tell you about the key. The key only helps you with luggage. You don't need the key for that. You need to walk off the ship with your own luggage. That is the absolute fastest way off the ship. Sherry Martin. Sherry, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Don't see a message from you, Sherry, but I will keep an eye out for it. The Teresa McChain. Teresa, thank you for the super chat. Using Matt's words, longest week ever. 6 days till wonder. Dude, that last, I would say the last, 2 weeks, certainly, before your cruise, it just moves at a glacial pace. I mean, it is just like, how is it still Monday? It never ceases to amaze me. When you have, for anybody who has a countdown, that's like 480 days away, okay? Here's the bright side. Those days will melt away far faster than the last 6-7 days. Not that makes you feel any better. I'm sure everybody with 400 plus days till their cruise would rather trade with Teresa, but man, that last week is rough right there. Next question is from Oliver, who wants to know, hi, Matt, is bringing walkie-talkies okay to communicate with friends on board? I mean, you can bring them on board. I don't recommend them. Number one, they're annoying to everybody else around you. Number two, they don't work that well because of the fact the ship is made out of metal and there's a lot of radio interference from the ship systems. I would say your better bet, Oliver, is to I don't know, Oliver or Olivier. I apologize, but anyway, I think a better investment is to buy an internet package and use a texting app for that. In fact, the new Royal Caribbean app now is free. You can use that to message each other. But you can bring walkie-talkies. I don't recommend them because, again, they don't work that well and they're annoying to everybody else around you. But the chat feature is free now. Ralph G, thank you for the epic super chat. Woo! Thank you, Ralph. I think hang on. Sorry, I don't have a message. I'm checking here for the message. I don't see it. Ralph. I found Sherry's message though. Sherry wants to know: are the pools heated on Navigator by the sun? Yeah. Not very helpful answer for you, Sherry. But generally not. No. They're just other than the hot tubs, no. I found Ralph's question. Hey, this is easy. Sailed on Liberty December 12th. Thanks for all the information. Had great weather. I'm glad I purchased the key. Internet, awesome. Great. Glad to hear you had an awesome time there, Ralph. That's fantastic. Thank you for your generous super chat, buddy. I appreciate you. Extra Glitter. Great name. Is there a non-alcoholic drink package for sodas, etc.? Yes, there's 2 non-alcoholic drink packages. There's the soda package, which is just soda. And then there's the Royal Refreshment package, which is soda, mocktails, bottles of water, juices, basically anything, any drink that doesn't have alcohol. So the Royal Refreshment package has more than just soda. And you can purchase both of them on the Royal Caribbean website via the cruise planner. Next question is from Keith Bruce. Hey, Matt, does the upcoming adult-only area CocoCay have any attractions? Don't know. They haven't announced what it is other than that there's a new area. So remains to be seen. Beta V. Thank you, Beta, for the super chat. I'm at 45 days till freedom of the seas and have an early flight booked for our departure. Thinking I'll make it out by 6:30 a.m. No, you're wrong on that. So thinking a grand suite, should I change it? Yes. So the boarding, the time that you see, this is not your fault, Beta, but I'm sure you looked on the website and it says, oh, the ship will dock at 6 a.m. No, the ship will dock at 6 a.m., but that is not when the ship is cleared. This is a very common misconception. When your ship comes into port, number one, very slow. They got to like angle in, tie everything up. Then they have to wait for the local authorities. In the case of the United States, this would be the Coast Guard or the Department of Homeland Security to come on board and inspect it. Sometimes inspections are just like it's like the scene from National Lampoon Vacation when they're at the Grand Canyon. Okay, let's go, and that's it. Sometimes Inspector Clouseau comes on board with the magnifying glass, like, aha, this is not right. You're going to have to redo everything. So basically, you never know how long the inspections can take. But 6:30, probably not. I think you're looking at least 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe closer to 7:30. It really depends. There's no way to know exactly what time. So the bottom line is, I'm not sure what time your flight is. But again, Beta, you're going on Freedom, probably out of Miami. Don't book any flights before 11 o'clock. I'd prefer a flight like noon or later, but if you booked like 11:30 flight or later, that's probably fine as well. But don't book anything before then. That's just crazy talk right there. Next question is from Derek, who wants to know. Oh, Derek. Well, thank you, Derek, for the super chat. Oh, there's Derek's question. Any recommendations on destinations? Already been to Mexico, St. Martin, Haiti, CocoCay, Puerto Rico. Love them all. St. Martin, you haven't done any other than St. Martin. You haven't done St. Thomas, St. Kitts, Love those places. Have you been to Costa Maya? Have you been to the ABC Islands? In fact, forget everything I just said. ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, Derek. You will love them. Those are amazing in the Southern Caribbean. David Brewster with another super chat. Thank you, David. Agents mentioned refundable and non-refundable rates. Are Royal Caribbean site rates always non-refundable? I want to compare apples to apples. By default, they're non-refundable. But David, when you go to the Royal Caribbean website and if you go all the way to the end, like right before you hit the book, but like book this cruise, there is an option to enable refundable. By default, it's non-refundable, which is very, what's the word? It'd be confusing for some people, certainly. Anyway, you can see the refundable rates, but it requires more work because you have to go all the way through the checkout process, enter everybody's information, and then you can see the refundable rates right there. So Nolan wants to know, how is Radiance of the Seas, and put about 72 question marks. The answer is it's a great ship. Powerful female. Powerful female talking to somebody else, but hello, powerful female. It's good to see you. Matthew Gatlin. Matthew, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I don't see a message from you, Matthew, but I will keep an eye out for it. Oh, there it is. Found it. Matthew wants to know, I fly on Ovation. Haven't seen it available to book. Any idea? You're probably still too far out. I mean, you're still quite a ways away. So keep checking back. It will eventually show up there. Thank you for the super chat. Steven, thank you for the super chat. One of my first cruises on Symphony. Loved it. Now I'm going on Mariner, but I'm concerned it won't be as fun because of its age. Thoughts? Mariner's a great ship. You went on Symphony. I don't think I said that properly before. Anyway, Mariner's a great ship. You got a refurbishment with the Royal Amplification Program. Obviously it's not an Oasis class ship, but still a very great ship. I don't think you're really going to do yourself a disservice over there. I mean, unless you're like, Stephen, unless you're like, Matt, I need to have a ship with a Broadway show, a Zipline, and 2 flow riders. Okay, well, in that case, yes, you'll be disappointed. But I think that's probably not the case. But you're not on Radiance of the Seas or Vision of the Seas or anything like that. So I think you'll be okay. I think you'll enjoy the ship. I love Mariner. It's a wonderful ship. KB again with another super chat. Just check the Royal Caribbean website. Got a check-in time of noon. Many thanks. By the way, booked through MEI Travel, UK to US. No problems. We love that. And thank you for supporting our sponsor, which is awesome, by the way, because of usually US travel agents cannot book people from outside the US or Canada. But in the case of MEI Travel, because they work with us here at Royal Caribbean Blog, and Royal Caribbean Blog has a worldwide presence, Royal Caribbean gives them special dispensation to book readers like Kevin here. So that's awesome. Love that. Let's see here. Blaze Fire. I go on my first cruise next Thursday with the friends on Adventure of the Seas. But I'm a night owl, and I'm wondering what kind of free food options there are at night. I didn't get the food package. That's okay, dude. When you get to like late night past 9:30, so let's call it 10 o'clock and beyond, you've got Cafe Promenade, which has snacks and pizza. That's like people talk about Sorrento's Pizza. That's where you'll get that from. And of course, you also have room service available as well as your choices there. Once you get past about 10 o'clock or so, you won't go hungry. That pizza will be your best friend, quite frankly. Yeah, Evan went on Mariner and loved the ship. So there you go. Shadow Reaper wants to know, Matt, what's your next cruise? I'm going on Liberty of the Seas at the end of the month. Liberty of the Seas. So I think it's another super chat from Matt Gatlin. Yes, Matt, thank you again, my friend. Once again, missing the message there, but thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Aaron Ross. Aaron, thank you for the super chat. Can I buy a room upgrade after final payment? And if so, how many days before embarkation? Booked on Ovation in May. Was gold become platinum prior to May? Any benefits that can apply to that May cruise? Yeah, I mean, your benefits, Aaron, once you get on board the ship, it'll show you your platinum benefits there. So don't worry about that. As to can you do a room upgrade after final payment? In my experience, the answer has been yes. If you want to spend more money, even though you already made final payment, generally I have found that Royal Caribbean will still take your money and upgrade you. Again, this is when, Aaron, working with a good travel agent really comes in handy, because my MEI travel agent has always been able, if I've seen that there's a room available, it costs more than I already paid, even after final payment date, they've been able to work it out for me there. So the answer is probably yes. As long as you're paying more money. You want to spend more money? They usually will take it. Bland Citizen wants to know, can you reserve parking spots at the port garages? No. It's first come, first serve. MNT wants to know, where can they get the Royal Caribbean Monopoly? You can't. It was a giveaway to travel agents back in 2017, 2018. So it's eBay or bust. They never made them again, which is unfortunate. Rita, thank you for the super chat. Rita, appreciate you. I don't see a message from Rita. But Rita, thank you for your generosity. And Tony Diaz. Tony, thank you for the super chat as well. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Gene, hey, Matt. The info on Royal Caribbean blog on Barefoot Beach and Labadee says it's for suites only, but the cruise planner let me book a cabana. Am I going to have an issue if I'm not a suite? No, I need to update that. That's a recent change, Gene, that changed in the last, earlier this summer. But no, you're allowed to book them now. So I will need to update that. So Jenna, when you're watching this replay for the recap video, we need to update this article. There you go. That's my reminder to myself. So, Carrie wants to know: do you think WoW bands will ever come back? I don't. It seems from what I've said, from what I've heard from Royal Caribbean, I don't think they're interested in bringing them back. Random Kid 9600, thank you for the super chat. Doing an 18-night cruise in April, Sydney to Hawaii. Wow, on Ovation. Any tips for doing a long cruise for the first time? Do laundry. You might don't pack for 18 nights. That is a mistake. I mean, you could, but you're gonna have giant suitcases. Do laundry. Yeah, there's no self-service. It does cost money. It's worthwhile, especially to save on packing space. Do laundry on board. I talked about this earlier in this video. Progressive trivia, very popular option. A lot of people like that. Basically, these are, instead of having just one-off trivias that are like, okay, whoever wins the session is the winner, they have each session, your scores added up, and at the end of the cruise, there's a crowns a champion. It's a big deal on Transatlantics and Transpacifics. So definitely check that out there. Let's see here. Will wants to know, any comparison for a warm weather cruise, Vision class or Radiance class, is that much of a difference? Not a huge difference. If I had the choice, I would book a Radiance class. I just personally prefer them. They're a little bit bigger, a couple extra venues here and there. So I'd prefer that, but it really doesn't matter. They're more similar than they're not. Gene, thank you for the super chat, Gene. Appreciate you. Boy, there's a lot of super chats and no messages, which is fine. People just like doing the super chats. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next question is from Joseph. Thank you for the super chat. 54 days till Harmony. First Royal Caribbean cruise. Families looking for a summer 2024 out of New Orleans. Is Royal Caribbean no longer sailing in New Orleans? Thanks for all the info and advice you provide. Not really. Their Radiance, I believe, is sailing there right now. But New Orleans is one of those ports that Royal Caribbean puts a ship in if they have nowhere else to put the ship. It's not a primary port. It's certainly not a year-round port. So the answer is basically probably not. But sometimes they do like, oh, we're just going to put the ship here because we need to put it somewhere and we've kind of run out of spaces for whatever reason. So, yeah. Excuse me, let me get a drink of water here. Disney Mama 78. I'll be taking my first cruise with the Royal Caribbean February 25th. I'll be sailing on an adventure that he's not sure what to expect. A great time. I mean, I'm trying to think of, when you're coming into the cruise, and Disney Mama, no doubt, I am going to guess you watched some of the videos here about on this channel about cruising. But cruising, if you've never cruised before, a cruise is a make your own adventure. Meaning Disney Mama, you see like the rock climbing wall, and you see the zip line, and you see Alf. Now, Alf isn't on the ship, but you see Alf anyway. But anyway, my point is, you see these activities. You don't have to do the activities. You could sit in your cabin, nap all day, watch TV, and do nothing. Or you could do all those things, or a combination of whatever you want to do. It's up to you. A cruise gives you those options of these things you can do, but it's your choice as to what you can do. So basically, you'll get every day a cruise compass, which is a paper, or actually these days it's in the Royal Caribbean app. And it shows you all the events and activities that you can do, and it's your choice to do some, all, none. That's the best thing about a cruise. It's a lot of fun. There's different dining options throughout the day. You are going to love it. Highlander 69 USA going on an Odyssey in 47 days, and recommendations for excursions with the kids 6 and 9 in Aruba. Beach is always a good day. We actually went when we were in Aruba last, which was over Thanksgiving. We did resort for a day at the, I forgot. It was on resortforaday.com, which I absolutely love. Not cheap, but there was a resort day pass in Aruba that was great. It was the Ryu Palace, And you can book it through resortforaday.com. And our kids love it. There's pool, there's a beach. It was very, very good. David Brewster, David, thank you for the super chat again. Are agents created equal for pricing? Some claim special rates or will all agents price match? Okay. So basically, a lot of times when you see price, thank you for the super chat again, David. When you see a lot of some travel agents will play games with the pricing. They won't include taxes, port fees, gratuities. They will advertise the lowest possible rate. Some travel agents do something called rebating, which is technically against the rules, which basically says, okay, let's say the price of the cruise is $1,000. Of that cruise, that commission they get from Royal Caribbean, they'll take $100, let's say, I'm making up numbers here, and from their commission and give it back to you to help make the price cheaper. That's against the rules, and they shouldn't be doing that. But that's something else they can do that. But rebating aside and room holds aside, we talked about that a little bit earlier, where room holds, sometimes travel agents have room holds, and that freezes a price, and over months, it can seem like a better price. But all things being equal, the price is the same. In a lot of cases, advertised rates don't include port fees, taxes, gratuities. And when you add those in, you start to see it's the same price right there. Because when you book a cruise through a travel agent or through Royal Caribbean, the price should be the same. Boy, great questions. We've got, oh man, running out of time here. So let me answer a couple more questions before we get going. Not to worry, we're trying to get as many as we can in here. Nicole S, thank you, Nicole, for the super chat. Thank you. Kylie, what do I think of the new main dining room menu? I'm excited to try it out, Kylie. We're gonna have an full update tomorrow on with the video. But yeah, I'm excited to try it out. David, another question from David. Thank you, my friend. My son wants to play poker through me as a proxy. Will they allow him to sit? No, absolutely not. It's just an age thing. He's got to be 18 in order to gamble. So the answer is no. Samuel Jackson wants to know, does Royal Caribbean still do the reprice my cruise if you're before final payment date and you live in certain countries like the US or Canada? The answer is yes. Did I miss sorry, Nicole, I don't want to miss your question, so I'm keeping an eye out for Nicole. And if you guys if anybody did a super chat and I missed your message, just type capital letters and missed super chat so I can get that in there before we get going here. Danny DiMatteo, thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. Thank you. Kathy, someone asked us earlier, if you go on a Royal Caribbean excursion on disembarkation day, what is done with your luggage? They store it for you. Usually you'll board a bus and they put it on board. So, yep, no problem at all. Nancy Moore, thank you for the super chat. About 30 plus years ago, a cruise ship did ice sculptures. Why did they stop? I'm not sure. I don't know. That's a great question. There are many activities and things, fads, whatever you want to call them, that have come and gone from cruise ships. I don't know why ice sculptures stopped. I have still seen them in certain scenarios, but they're not as common as they were in the past. And I have no idea why. Could be skills, lack thereof. Maybe it's cost. I'm not sure. Mercedes, thank you for the super chat as well. Are kids, 7-year-olds specifically, allowed to attend play bingo? Yes. That's like the one I talked about the gambling thing earlier. Bingo is different for whatever reason. As long as they're there with an adult, totally fine. I brought my kids there, Mercedes, and totally allowed. So yeah, that is like the exception to the rule right there. Casey wants to know, what should I bring my parents and sister for the what ship should I bring my parents and sister for the best experience? They're all great, Casey. Certainly an Oasis class cruise ship is a great choice. I like that quite a bit. So what, like, Wonder, Harmony of the Seas, also Odyssey of the Seas is a fabulous ship. And also we just talked about Mariner of the Seas. Great value. Your parents will love it because it'll be a lot cheaper. So that's a great ship as well. Will wants to know, when's the new main dining room menu started? It's already started on Symphony of the Seas, and it'll go to the rest of the fleet by probably the first week of February. More details, William, in tomorrow's video on our channel. And we are almost out of time here. So, Nicole, thank you, Nicole. I apologize for missing your super chat. Thank you again for it. Curious, a person once mentioned they saw someone skip the line in the Seaplex because they were in a suite. Is this true? And if so, is it because they're star class? Yes, you nailed on the head. Only if they're in star class can they skip the line in the Seaplex. Otherwise, you cannot. So if you have to have a Royal Genie, and the Royal Genie does it for them. So, good question. Hey, Alan is on board the Anthem of the Seas. Hello, Alan. Good to see you. Welcome. And Kayla wants to know, what ship would you go for Alaska cruise? What cruise line? Royal Caribbean, obviously. If you've never done Alaska before, I would do Ovation of the Seas. New ship, easy to get to in and out of Seattle. Really, really good right there. So, hey Rita, Rita. I need your question. I did miss your super chat. But what's your question, Rita? Type it really quick, Rita. You'll be the last question of the day. Jenna, we have a lot of Jennas in the chat today. Went on a roller coaster cruise for the first time and loved it. Nice, fantastic. Rita, type your question in. We'll get it in there really quick before we got to get going over here. Easy question. I love easy questions. All time favorite dessert. I mean, red velvet cake from Chops, fantastic. I'm a sucker for just coffee ice cream. Really like that quite a bit. Yeah, really, really good. I enjoy that. Is Explorer getting amplified? She is not. Maybe she will. Let's put it this way. There are no plans announced for it at this time. And this is true for all ships in the fleet. Don't ask me about Liberty, Adventure, Allure. We don't know. Nothing's been announced, quite frankly. So, Jamie, you are very welcome, my friend. We're just waiting for Rita's thing there. And we'll get going here in a minute. But I want to say thank you to everybody for stopping by, saying hello. Always appreciate all you guys. If I didn't get to your question, we will of course we'll be back again next Monday, or you can post your question in the meantime over on our message boards at royalcaribbeanblog.com. I booked a cruise, but a friend is going. Do I get Crown Anchor for both? No. You get your Crown Anchor points for you only. Doesn't matter who paid for it. Doesn't matter. It's like airline miles. Whoever goes on the cruise gets the points. So Rita, in your case, you will get your points. Your friend will earn points for the first time for them. It doesn't matter who paid for who. Ricky Roberts coming in with a last minute super chat. Thank you, Ricky Roberts. I don't see a message from you here. But Ricky, you got to work yours in, man. We're running out of time here. Jules with a super last minute, sneaking it in at the end. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for your help getting in touch with MEI. Becky and staff were awesome. Glad to hear that. That is great. All right, now we're waiting for Ricky, and then we can seriously get going here. We're just waiting for Ricky, and then Ricky, yeah, you're here, but where's your message, Ricky? I need your question. You have a question? If not, that's okay. Oh, there it is. I found it, Ricky. I found it. We're good. Here it is. Last question of the night. Are there any travel agents that will help to monitor potential price drops found it hard to do? Yes. MEI Travel does this. So they have a special system, software that they use, proprietary, that will check periodically and automatically do it. So yes. Now it's not like they check like every second, but periodically that software runs, and they have done that in the past. So absolutely. And we have another super chat coming in at the super. I thought Jules was at the last minute. Sharon Stockman. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate you. And MEI is the best. You are not wrong on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here. Check out RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Lots of updates for you over there. And we'll talk again next Monday right here on YouTube. Good night, everybody. See ya.